Hey folks, SC Closer here coming at you with another episode of Southern Style from the Southern Style Studios, Studio A. Today I'm experimenting. I'm using a different device to record the show with today. I'm actually using my cell phone. I'm gonna see how this goes. I got a little tripod thing to sit it on, so I'm gonna give this a try. I believe this is episode number 19. Number 19. All right, this episode I wanted to talk about some songwriting tips. I got 8 songwriting tips for you. I think Guitar Struggles, Bill was saying something about asking in one time about any tips for writing songs. And I've actually had a few other folks I've talked with recently have asked me if I had any songwriting tips. Um, and you may ask, who am I to be giving songwriting tips? Well, I'm not really anybody. I've written lots of songs. I've written a lot of songs, that they're finished. They've been recorded, by myself. I've recorded them. Some have been performed at shows and all over the years. So, and I've been writing songs probably, I don't know, 30 years now, or more than 30 years. So, to varying degrees of success or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying they're great songs, but I have written them. So I have some modest experience in this area. So, I could give you a couple of tips that might be able to help you out in case you're stumped or you don't know how to start, or maybe you've started and you're kind of stumped or something and you just can't figure out how to proceed from where you're at, and maybe I can help you on that. I'm gonna put the glasses on, so I wrote some of these things down because I didn't want to forget them. The biggest tip I can give you for writing songs: document the melody. Okay, document the melody. Record it or something, because when you come up with a song or a tune in your head, there's a melody. The lyrics are going to follow that melody. Okay, you could write down the lyrics, you can write down the chords you played on the guitar, but unless you're really good at writing music so that you can actually write it all out, if you don't get that melody down, you'll forget it. You'll forget it. I don't know how many songs I have come up with and thought they were great songs, and by the time, and it may be a couple days or so, by the time I could get to something to record it or to work it out, I have forgotten it. I've come up with songs just playing the guitar, and they were really cool songs, and I had a melody in my head for for the lyrics that I probably hadn't even wrote them yet, at the time, or maybe I did write them, and then you forget the melody. Okay, and then once you forget the melody, you forgot the song. The song is gone. Okay, um, I got, I don't know how many songs I wrote down over the years, and I've written them down. And the lyrics are fine, but I no longer remember the melody. I just don't know because I never got to record it. And I got some and I put over the top of it, E, A, D, or whatever the chords are. That doesn't tell you anything. If you don't remember the melody, it's gone. Okay, so that is the number one thing I could tell you to do, is somehow record, document that melody. Okay, that's the best thing I could tell you. Another thing, and these aren't any real particular order now, that was just, to me, that's the most important thing, is get the melody down. The rest of these aren't in any particular order, but I'd say number 2, don't force it. Don't try, force yourself to write a song. You can't force these things. It's a creative process. You can't push your way through it like you can, with other type of things. It's not like an athletic contest or something, that you can just will yourself through it, or force yourself to go ahead and tough it out. If you're not in the mood to write, you're just not in the mood to write. If you're not feeling it, you're just not, you're not likely to come up with anything all that good if you're trying to force it. The best thing to do is just be open to ideas when they happen. If you have an idea, document it somehow. A cell phone is an awesome way to document something. You could be driving down the road, you could come up with a song idea. Put the video camera on your cell phone. I'm recording this on the cell phone right now. Stick your video camera on there, and and sing it into the song. Okay, or say your idea. Say it in, say it into the not into the song, into the phone, and that way you'll have a record of it, guys. That you need, so whenever you have the creative urge, document it somehow. Okay, but don't force it. You can't force yourself to write songs. I've seen people try it. I've seen other people expect people to do that, and I'm gonna tell you, it seems like the more you try to force yourself to write a particular song, the more your mind's gonna drift. And I know there's many times I've tried to finish a song or work on a song, but my mind goes off and I'm let off in another direction, and now I'm working on something completely different. And I have songs that they may sit for years before I ever come back to do anything with them. So you just have to do it when you're in the mood to do it, and that's the only thing I could tell you. I don't think it's going to come out good for you if you try to force it. Um, let's see. Be open to different ways of doing it. Don't always try to write a song the same way. And in that, I'm not saying like a format of the song necessarily, but don't okay, I've heard people, we got to get the hook, and then you got to write the chorus, and then then you write the verses, then you write the music. You don't have to do it that way. You know, I've been driving down the road and come up with a chorus in my mind, and then I'll write the whole song around that. I have actually written the music first to a song, and then later, come up with words for it. Sometimes the words come right away. I had one the other day. I know this music was recorded probably 6 or 7 years ago, at least 5 years ago. I'm thinking 6 or more. And I was listening to it, and it wasn't really the best recording in the world. But when I was listening to it, I was like, a song came to mind. It reminded me of something that happened in my life, and it just triggered a song. And I just, I just sang it into the recorder, and then I had to listen to it later to write down the words because I just made it up on the spot. But but the music was there. The music had been there for a long time, and it's nothing real outstanding about the music. It was just something that I did one time and just left it there and ran across it later, and it triggered a response. So be open to different ways of doing it. You don't have to always have a set way of doing something. Try, and this kind of goes along with this. Will be your fourth tip. Try writing a song with different instruments. Some people, I'm a guitar player, and I'm assuming that most people watching this are probably guitar players. A lot of times we write songs on a guitar. We'll sit there and mess around with a guitar and come up with something, and we come up with some lyrics for it, or we come up with some lyrics and we try to get music to go with it, and we write it all on the guitar. If you can play keyboard, try writing it on keyboard. Some people, they do everything on keyboard, piano and stuff. You could do it that way. But I had something happened with me not too terribly long ago. I was messing around with a bass guitar. I'm not really a bass player, but I have to lay down bass tracks once in a while when I write music. And I came up with this little bass groove, and I literally wrote a song on the bass. But and the bass drives that whole song. And so I came up with the bass first. And so I went and I got me a little drum pattern, got the tempo down the way I wanted it, and put down the bass first. And then I came back later and figured out some guitar parts for it because I wrote it on the bass. And it's a pretty cool song. So it's interesting to try to approach it with different instruments. It may change how you write the song, and it may make it a lot better. So don't be afraid to do that. The fifth thing, and this, I don't think this is unique to me. I think a lot of people do this. If you happen to write the music first, listen to it. Record it, listen to it, see what it kind of feelings it invokes in you, and then get your mic and plug in and get you a channel on there and just sing what you're thinking or sing what you're feeling at the time. Singing in it. You may be surprised. You may be very surprised at the lyrics that you can just come up with off the top of your head if you're feeling the music. And then you can go back later and write it down. You can listen to it later and write it down. I have done this several times. And actually, I first started doing it back in the 80s when I first started getting involved in music. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother video. But I was just, I was just making lyrics up off the top of my head. And I never realized it much until recently, but I actually do that quite a lot. And sometimes those are better songs, they just kind of come to you. Sometimes it's a lot better than sitting down and trying to write it all out. So, try doing that. And, and you might not be able to do it just one pass. You might have to do several passes, but, you might find that the song leads you in a certain direction for your vocals. And so just give that a try. Let's see. Sixth thing I can tell you, write about something you know about. Okay. When you songs, you're trying to convey an emotion or you're trying to convey some message to somebody. It's hard to convey a message that you don't even know what it means yourself or you don't understand. Just, pick something I was asked one time, why you write about, different women in relationships all the time and breakups and that kind of stuff. I said, I write about what I know about, that's, I had a lot of experience with that kind of stuff over the years, and who hasn't, I guess. But yeah, just write about something or something you feel. I know I've written some stuff. I guess it's not really about anything I know. It's just about trying to convey an emotion or something that I'm feeling. And in essence, it's something that I know, but just don't make stuff up just because you think it's cool or, or so-and-so is writing a song about this or these are popular songs these days. We need to come up with this type of song. That's kind of forcing something. Just write about something that inspires you. That's the best way I could put it. And that kind of goes into the next one, think about what it is that you are trying to get across, because you're trying to get something across in a song. I'm going to count this one as number 7. You're trying to convey an emotion. You're trying to convey an idea. You're trying to tell a story. You're trying to get somebody to paint a picture for somebody. You're trying to do something. Figure out what that is. Figure out what it is that you're trying to do. Sometimes you don't have to really think of it that way. A lot of times, if you're inspired to do something, you'll just do it. You'll just do that. If you're inspired to tell some story, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a story across. But when you're sitting there and you're trying to write something and you're going off on all these different directions and you can't figure out what it is you're doing, stop and look at the song. And this has happened to me before. I've had an idea for a song and I started writing the song, and then I kind of get to a point where, well, I'm not making much progress on this and I'm getting lost. It's like, I'm trying to say something and I don't know what it is I'm trying to say. So then you have to sit back and you have to say, what exactly is it I'm trying to convey? Okay. And then try to convey it in the simplest manner possible. Don't try to get it too complicated. And one thing I have learned, and I guess this would be kind of like a 7A, or don't be too wordy. Okay, it's okay to be vague in a song. A lot of times you're trying to write a song, you're trying to convey something, you're trying to tell a story, you're trying to get an emotion across, or an experience, or something like that. And you're sitting there and you're trying to write out all these details, and you start getting lost in the details. You feel like you're drowning in all these details you're trying to write. You don't have to do that. You can be very vague. You can be very sparse. let the listener fill in the blanks. Leave some space for the listener. You don't have to say, I was driving down the road in a 1968 Chevelle Super Sport, red and black with blah, 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 and whatever mags and stuff like that on. You don't have to say all that. Just say you were cruising down the road in your Chevy, or in my hot rod Chevy, or something like that. The listener will fill in the blanks, okay? Unless the color of that song is key to that song, you don't have to say what color it is. You don't have to say exactly what kind of car it is. You don't have to say anything about the interior, whether it's an automatic transmission or a manual straight drive, or whether it has cruise control, power steering, or anything. You don't have to say all that. Leave that to the listener. Leave that to the listener. Different people are going to, a lot of times when you're telling a story, different people perceive things different ways, and allow the listener to identify with what you're trying to convey. Allow that listener that space to do that. If you fill in too many details, it's too much about you. If you leave details out and allow the listener to put the details that he's thinking about or she is thinking into that song, then they can identify with that song. It makes that song something that they can share with you rather than something they're just listening to. Okay, 8th thing here. Be creative with the format and the style, okay? Don't be afraid to write something in a different genre. I've written songs in, all different genres. Don't be afraid to experiment, and don't be afraid to go outside of traditional song structures. Don't be afraid to make your song a little bit long. Don't be afraid to make your song a little bit short. Sometimes the song is more effective if it's really short, because the message you're trying to get across, you've conveyed. Don't beat it to death, and sometimes, it takes a while to get it out, and if the song's not boring or anything like that, let it go long. You don't have to follow a verse, chorus, verse, bridge, solo, chorus, type of format, or you don't really have to do that. I wrote a song one time, and a good friend of mine listened to it, and I asked him what he thought. He said, I like it. He says, but your chorus is real short. You should lengthen your chorus. I said, no. I said, I have said what I wanted to say in the chorus. That's all it wanted to say. Other people heard it and they really liked it. They said the song really conveyed a message to them, which is what I was going for. I was trying to convey a point or convey a message, invoke feelings and emotions in others. How's that sound? All right. Well, that's pretty much all I got for you. That was 8. That's 8 song tips for you right there or tips on how to write a song. If you got any tips or anything, or if you want to make any comments or have any suggestions or any questions, just stick them down there. Leave me a comment and ask it, or give your advice or whatever, or tell me what you think, and I'll be glad to respond. But anyway, that's about all I got. It'll be a little quick. Well, it's not that quick. I wanted it to be quick, but again, I'm just trying out the new format here. I'm going to try using the cell phone camera. I'm going to see how this works for this video. But anyway, until next time, this is SC Closer, and I'll catch you later.